Hello everyone, my name is Andrew and this is my news show here on YouTube. I'll be discussing the current issues of the day and also offering my commentary on them. And I hope that you'll respond to this. I think that it's important in a democratic society that the citizens collaborate together and share their views and opinions. And even if you have something to say that isn't in alignment with what I say, I encourage you to post it and to make your voice heard because that's what a democracy is all about. And without that, there is no democracy. And I think that the digital revolution is really doing a lot to promote the voice of the individual with programs such as YouTube. And so, like I said, I'll be going through some of the issues that I think are most relevant to our world. And I encourage you to offer and to post your viewpoints, particularly if you disagree with me, because that ultimately is uh, what this country is all about: debating opposing viewpoints, getting to the bottom of things. And so I would encourage you to share your thoughts. So this is the first episode of my show, and let's get right to it. The first thing that I want to talk about with all of you who are watching is what's going on in Africa right now. A lot of you who are news hip probably already know uh, some of the events that have unfolded there recently. Just to give a brief summary of what's been going on lately, there's been a lot of fighting in the Congo. Certain news publications have used the word massacre. Um, there's a lot going on in the Congo. There's also a lot going on in Zimbabwe and South Africa. There's a cholera epidemic in Zimbabwe, and so a lot of Zimbabweans are fleeing to South Africa. Um, and so there's the Congo, there's the cholera epidemic, and then there are also the pirates off the coast of Somalia. And I think that it's a very important thing that we start to reconstruct Africa in order to create uh, a stable internal economic infrastructure. Because Africa is a continent that is very rich in natural resources, and so there's a lot of wealth there, and so naturally there's going to be a lot of fighting because there isn't a stable government presently in a lot of the places where there are these resources. One of my suggestions that I would offer in terms of the United States getting involved, not just with this, but with the suffering of human beings throughout the world, is that Barack Obama appoint a Secretary of International Philanthropy, whose job would be to look at solutions, long-term sustainable solutions to alleviating the suffering of the human beings on this planet who have it the worst. Um, and so, like I said, in terms of Africa, the critical thing that we have got to do is create stability in terms of jobs, in terms of economy, because if we don't, and the chaos and the violence that's going on continue, there are going to be unforeseeable, devastating consequences in the future, things that we can't even begin to imagine. And I think that stabilizing Africa uh, is going to have a lot to do with stabilizing the world and with creating a sound framework for establishing world peace. And so once again, just to reiterate that, a Secretary of International Philanthropy, and it's not just Africa. I understand that there are human beings that are suffering tremendously throughout this world, but I've chosen to focus on Africa just for this specific moment because things there are getting particularly bad. And once you establish an economy, once you stabilize an economy and develop an infrastructure, people don't need to resort to crime. They don't need to resort to violence. They don't need to battle over resources, because people have jobs, they have constructive things to do, they have positive things to direct their time and energy towards accomplishing. And if we can help establish that, I think that that would be an incredibly healthy thing, not only for Africa, but for the entire world, really, in terms of international trade, in terms of reducing disease epidemic, in terms of reducing piracy on the seas. Um, so there are a lot of positive things that I think could happen in terms of getting involved with Africa, and I think that the UN could get involved, America should get involved. The real tragedy for me in this context of Africa is that there's all of this suffering going on. A lot of it is starvation, a lot of it is from warfare. Um, but the main tragedy here is how, first of all, how preventable all of this is. Not only as a world community do we have the resources and the know-how to prevent people from suffering this way, but we also have the ability to alleviate the suffering that's going on right now. And there just isn't enough being done to do that. So I think that that's one thing that we should focus on, because to truly to know what it's like to suffer the way that those people are suffering is a tremendous thing, and anything that we can do to help alleviate that, I think that as human beings, that is our moral responsibility to help each other. If you have the ability to alleviate the suffering of your fellow human being, it's your ethical responsibility to do so. And I'm not talking about getting involved in the politics of other countries. To a certain extent, this would be nation building, but it's for the sake of reducing human suffering and establishing security and stability. Because believe me, if we can't get Africa on its feet, that is going to have very bad consequences in terms of the international economy in ways, as I have said, that we cannot even begin to foresee. So that's something that we need to focus on. I'm running out of time here on this segment. I will be posting another one shortly, though. But I want to hear what your thoughts are. Anyone out there who happens to stumble upon this and listens to it, I want to know what you have to hear. I mean, do you think that it's a good idea to appoint a Secretary of International Philanthropy, somebody to really get the wheels going on reducing the worst forms of human suffering on this planet? Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what you think. And President-elect Barack Obama, I think that this is a very important thing. And if you want to talk about changing the world, bringing change to Washington, change to America, what a powerful message to send by appointing someone dedicated to reducing and eliminating the worst forms of human suffering. And I know that there are already a lot of programs in place that do that, and I applaud them, and I applaud their efforts. I think that that's tremendous. I think that it's great. But you strike me as the type of human being and the type of person who can really start doing things in terms of bringing about a sustainable framework for world peace. And I think that Africa and a few select other regions in the world that I'm sure you can guess at, concentrating on those places, I think, is going to be critical to realizing world peace. So like I said, share your thoughts, tell me what you think. I want to know what you have to say, I want to know what you have to hear, because this is a YouTube democracy, baby, and this is our democracy. So share your voice, make it heard, because it's time to start transforming this world, and it's time to start doing positive things. And your voice is important, and you are empowered, and you are powerful as an individual, and I want to hear what you have to say. So give it to me. Thanks.